Right then, the US in action tonight as they take on Uruguay. They need desperately something from this game and other things to go their way as well to advance to quarterfinals. So, of course, in this situation, after that defeat against Panama in the second round of matches, this is, of course, how they started. This is how they're going to get through. The US wins and Panama tie or lose, then the US advance. Now, if the US tie and Panama loses, Greg Berhalter's side also advance. Then it gets a little tricky. If USA and Panama tie, the USA go through on goal differential. If USA and Panama both win or both lose, US needs a better goal differential. US can win the group if they beat Uruguay by 4. Oh, it's easy. 4 goals or more. I don't even know we're discussing it. Bish, bash, bosh. No problem there. Let's welcome in, shall we, to the discussion. Oh, look at Ali, Venezuela shirt, obviously.
Yeah, but deserve it.
We'll be talking about that a little later on. Casey's here as well. But Alexis, let's start with you. What's the news coming out of camp ahead of kickoff?
Well, Dan, pretty much straight off the bat, we'll be looking at who will be the one that could replace Tim Weah in this role. Yesterday, Greg Berhalter kind of reminded us of what the U.S. are going to be missing from Tim Weah, and that's the fact that he says he's a danger in front of goal. When he's not scoring, he's assisting. Also, he has some pace on him, and if the USA are looking to probably get in the spaces in behind Uruguay in this match on the counter, Tim Weah would have definitely come in very handy. But the ones who could possibly come in, there's talk about Gio Reyna, who may just have to play out a little bit wide. But there's also questions on Haji Wright. Are we going to finally see him? We've talked about it in the FA Cup coverage about how he's enjoying a really good season with Coventry. He's got over 20 goals and assists for the championship side. We spoke to him after he scored that penalty against Manchester United in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and he says that he is high on confidence. He has enjoyed what he feels has been the best season in his club career to date. So he's definitely been a fan favorite to come in and provide that extra cover. Also, everyone's been screaming to have Yunus Musa back into this side. We know exactly how he's so good on the ball, his movement, the way he carries it. Plus, he does provide some extra defensive cover as well, which when you're going up against a really attack-minded and potent Uruguay and you're trying to limit any goal against you, he would be a good shout as well.
You've been chatting to the fans, Alexis. What are they saying ahead of this match?
Well, Dan, honestly, the fans just are upset that they found themselves in a situation where we went from thinking, will the USA finish first or second in this group? Everyone was kind of happy, even with a second place finish, and we could all be booking our flights to Arizona, to now wondering if they'll even get out of the group at all. And I know they say that being a CONCACAF side, the goal is to always win your domestic trophy, which would have been the Nations League as well as the Gold Cup. But then the fact that this is a Copa America in the USA, and the fact that we constantly keep talking about the USA being able to compete against the likes of Mexico and CONCACAF and Canada as well. Now it's time to take it up another level when you're just 2 years away from hosting the FIFA World Cup in your own backyard. And now seeing that you could be pegged back again by CONCACAF sides in Panama and then potentially Uruguay, it just doesn't really bode well for what the project that we would want to see under Greg Berhalter. So it's a very tricky situation. Some fans are still willing to stick with Greg Berhalter after this because it's almost like, who next? And do we just repeat that vicious cycle once more? Or is it time to just get a fresh face in, a fresh mentality in? Because if there were ever a time to do it, it would be now if the USA do crash out.
Casey, how are you feeling about tonight?
All the mistakes were made the other day. Tonight is one of those matches you need things to really kind of fall into place. You need Bielsa-less Uruguay to make a bunch of changes, think they're already through, hope that they come really flat. And what we've seen from the U.S. over the last, I think probably year is a really good bounce back ability off of a bad performance. Now, we wanted to see a level of consistency in this tournament that obviously we haven't seen. So we're going to need that bounce back. We're going to need a bunch of things to go right. And all I can really do is fall back on the experience of '95 when we played against an Argentina that were high on confidence. They were going to win the group comfortably. And in all honesty, so did we. We felt that all we needed to do was get a result to make sure we got through to the next round. We win 3-0, we win the group, and everything changes. So to your laughing point a little bit earlier, Uruguay makes 10 changes. The U.S. wins 4-0 and wins the group.
Perfect. There we go. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be back tomorrow to reflect on that. Uruguay are pretty good, though, Ali. That's a little bit of a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, the optimism in this group is amazing. It's overwhelming. You have Alexis talking about the United States, and I felt like she was talking about Spain. And then you have Casey talking about that big result in Copa America, and you think, why would Casey bring that up? Who may have been on the field that day? Who may have kept that 0? Look, if we're going to talk about the potential success of the United States against Uruguay, what we must say first is that it truly depends on the decisions made by Marcelo Bielsa in terms of rotation or not for Uruguay. What he does with his team, and he has the choice to do whatever he wants. If he plays the first choice team of Uruguay with the sort of intensity that they put in the pressure with their attacking players, with their midfielders, that high press, that continued press, the counter press, their ability to make it so very difficult to play out of the back against a United States team that insists and persists on playing the ball out of the back when they don't have the players to be doing that consistently, it's a problem. And so it really depends on what Marcelo Bielsa does with Uruguay. We can talk all the things that we can talk about the United States and feel positive and optimistic about this match. The truth of the matter is in the hands of Uruguay. They decide the outcome, not the United States.
We're just seeing some training footage here, of course, ahead of the game. Let's get some predictions, shall we? Let's see what everyone says is going to happen. Casey, of course, believes that they're going to beat Uruguay 4-0. So, what's a lot going on this screen? Okay. I don't know what any of this means. To advance, Ali, Shaka, Herc say Uruguay. Alexis and Casey say it will be the United States. Alexis, what happens if the US go out? Do you have to go back to London?
No, Dan, I'm literally here with you guys, stuck with you straight into preseason. You can't get rid of me, and then I'll see you for La Liga. But I suppose if the horrible happens, a little birdie has told me that I may be following another team that's always decent to follow, and that's Brazil. So we'll see, but we're not giving off those vibes, Dan. Okay. I'm going for a U.S. win. I'm also going for a Panama win, but 2-0, and that's just enough to get the USA through. Just enough. So not as far-fetched as Ali says I am. But what's wrong with a little positivity, Ali? Venezuela are through. Lighten up.
A lot of attitude for the she doesn't do well in the heat. Thank you very much, Alexis. We'll let you go. Much appreciated. Meanwhile, last night we, of course, learned that Mexico going home. A lackluster performance from then across the 3 games. See them eliminated. Venezuela and Ecuador advancing from Group B. Where did it go wrong, Ali?
Well, it's been going wrong for Mexico for a long time, and we mentioned yesterday in the show that this is a group of players, and we are talking about Mexico, we are talking about historically the giants of CONCACAF. That's no longer the case. This is a group of players that is short on talent and has been short on talent for a while now. And so a lot of people will talk about Jimmy Lozano, the manager. A lot of people will talk about the federation, and rightfully so. There's blame to go all over the place, but it really comes down to the players. Yesterday against Ecuador, they huffed and they puffed and they huffed and they puffed and they had intensity and they had urgency, but you know what they didn't have is quality, and it's something that we have discussed coming into Copa America, that unlike other Mexico teams from the past, this team was lacking quality of execution in the attack, quality of possession through the midfield, quality of defending when it counted. The truth of the matter is that Mexico is simply not good enough. And honestly, this is the kick in the backside that I think this team and this nation requires. For so long, and Casey would know about this, for so long, Mexico walks around CONCACAF as if they own the place. Oh, yeah. We're better than everybody. Look at us. It's like Frank walking into the studio. Oh, yeah, look at us. And the truth is that this team is not good enough to be doing that. And the talent personnel does not match the expectations. So while this may seem on paper a surprise, if you follow Mexico coming into this competition, it really isn't a surprise. They have been bad for a while.
And what's an indictment of how far they've fallen, Casey, is the fact that Jaime Lozano will stay in charge. They confirmed that today. You imagine these sort of performances back in your day, there's no way that the coach would still be at the top.
No, the coach would have resigned right after they got knocked out because he realized that there was no other option because it was going to be so difficult in the press and to go back home knowing that you were everything that Ali just said. You're just subpar. And not only do they not have that creativity and that quality, but then what do you need after that? You need then maybe some pace or some size or some grit, and they are just a team. They're just like a team full of decent players without something that they can really hold on to. So it's going to be very interesting to see kind of how that goes forward when they choose not to change the manager and not blow up the whole thing and try to figure out what they're going to do going forward, because they have been average, and it's really interesting to see how they're going to move forward going into the World Cup in 2 years if they don't make some drastic changes quickly.
Who won the group, Ali?
Oh, you know it and you love it. You know it and you love it. Vamos, Venezuela! That's right. That's right. You know, Dan, I appreciate that you would bring this up because yesterday we did a special show, FC, late at night, following the matches, and Kay ignored it. She ignored it. She didn't want to talk about Venezuela. She wanted to talk about the failings of Mexico. But I know, Dan, you're my number one. I knew that you were going to bring it up. Venezuela, not only did they win the group, they were perfect in the group.